Did God intend suffering? No. Does God use suffering to bring good out of it? Yes, because it happens. So God is always good and always wants to bring good out of every situation and choice that we make. And therefore, what we have decided has created suffering in the world. What we have done has allowed evil to flourish. God didn't create evil.
Yeah.
And one sense, the word evil, in one understanding, is hardships, toil, and labor. That's what the word means. Poneros in Greek means hardships, toil, and labor, which is what happened when they followed their own independence. It became hard. They were no longer able to work with creation in symbiosis and harmony and bountiful production. They now had to do things in their own strength, by planting and by the sweat of their own brow, where nothing was hard before that. So there is obviously a lot that's happened, but God didn't create Adam and Eve with the intention that suffering would come into the world, because he knew that it was inevitable that they were going to make that choice, because he lived with them in the moment of imminence with them in relationship. That relationship, if they had continued to follow that relationship, would have led them into maturity. They were not mature. So like children, they followed their own independence, because they weren't fully mature yet. So God intended their maturity, but also Lucifer was going to be part of that maturity process, in that he was reflecting the 9 firestones from the stones that were on his body to reflect the light of the glory of God that they would have been able to follow and enter into. But obviously Lucifer left that role as well. So there was something missing in God's purposes for their maturity. Now, ultimately, we still can follow that path of maturity back to maturity, and we can follow the path that God has created for us, and we can engage the firestones, and we can engage the tree of life, and we can engage everything that was available to Adam and Eve before they fell. What we cannot have is, well, we can have restored innocence, but we can't have our memory expunged. So before we come into the reality of what God has done for us, we have to, our mind has to be renewed. So we have a memory of what it was like to walk in independence, which then you have to have that renewed and let go of that independence to enter into God's full intention for us. And we still have the choice every day. And you can still choose according to your own memory, or you can choose according to the intentions of God's heart. It's a daily choice. But God never wanted suffering, and God never created evil, and he didn't create us and therefore created evil. He created Lucifer and he created the angelic realm. They chose to operate independently of him and operate in the darkness of the deception of the path that you walk. When you walk away from God and you don't walk in relationship with God, you are walking in darkness and therefore deception, and not in illumination and light and truth. And therefore the truth fades. The knowledge of the truth fades when you walk with independence. So Lucifer would have known the knowledge of the truth, but having chosen, and with those fallen angels, chosen to walk independently with another agenda, which was I will be like God, I will ascend, I will have the angelic realm following me. In that whole process, he became deceived himself, and he became clothed in darkness. So therefore, he is not operating out of the knowledge of the truth, which is why things continue that way, which is why when we come into the knowledge of the truth, we can remind those beings of their original identity and purpose, and look up to see them restored to that original identity and purpose. where the scales of darkness will come off their eyes and off their heart, and they will come back into a restored state. But we have to obviously be restored ourselves to be able to do that.